Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here with a familiar face that we've interviewed him several times on Insider Travel Report, Insider Video. It's Jay Stein, who's CEO of Dream Hotel Group. Now, we're going to talk to Jay about how Dream Hotels have survived this crisis, what's going on with them, and what's to come with Dream Hotels. And you'll find out about all that and more on Insider Travel Report. Now, Jay, first of all, how are you and where are you?
Well, James, you used the word survived. I'm not sure I survived yet, but we're trying to survive.
Oh, you'll get through. It's the old thing is you survive and thrive. So that'll happen eventually. But we're all kind of getting a little unhinged with this whole thing, which we thought.
Unfortunately, I'm seeing, in my business in the hotel side, almost daily different properties that are not surviving,
right,
and are deciding to throw in the towel and close down. And I think I saw Bryant Park listed today that will not reopen and will convert into, I think, an office building. But so almost every day, hearing stories like that. So yeah, survival is what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Now,
but personally, I'm out here in Livingston, New Jersey, not too far from our corporate office in Manhattan. And we've put our corporate team to work from home through this time. The company is focused, right word, on surviving. We do believe if we can get through this, the world will come back into the new normal. I don't think it'll go back to the way we were. But as you know, our products are not normal to begin with. So I think a lot of what we do, people are excited. They're not just a place to stay, but they're truly part of what people's lifestyle is. And so I think if we could figure out how to keep enough gunpowder dry and get through to the other side, people's desires to travel, I don't think will get any weaker. That I don't think will change. In fact, I think it will get even stronger. They'll be careful initially, and there may be shorter trips initially, but I think over due time, we all know people have short memories, and travel will get back to full level, and even to the new, whatever the new level will be. But and we hope to have our hotels out there doing things that people are excited to stay at, the Dream Hotel Group type properties, and so that's what we're focused on. Yeah. We've got some stuff open, some stuff closed. Food and beverage, is a big part of ours. So that's a whole big thing as well that we're working on. But
let's talk a little bit about, for those who are not familiar, I'm very familiar with your Dream Hotel Group, and what are, just review for us. You have lifestyle hotels with several brands. If you could just tell us again, remind us about those brands.
Yeah, so we're really a brand and management company now. We still develop a few hotels ourselves. Historically, that's all we did. We opened up hotels that we built and we developed. We managed them. That was a 20-year run of running our own hotels. And then we kind of morphed into becoming more of a brand and management company, working with other developers, other owners, taking our brands and putting them on their properties and then managing them. We don't franchise out our brands. If we're going to put a brand on someone else's property, we'll need to manage it. Yeah. At this point, we're focused on our four main brands, which is the Dream brand, Chatwall, Unscripted, and by Dream Hotel Group, which is our newest brand, and it's more like an affiliation type brand, like a soft brand, where we take independent hotels that are already open or independent hotels that are being developed that would love to work with us, but for whatever reason, they want to keep the identity of the hotel, the original branding. It's their daughter's name is the name of the hotel, whatever it may be. But if it is a lifestyle hotel, if it's in the right kind of market, if it speaks to the community or can speak to the community, and it's highly stylized in the right location. So now we have a brand by Dream Hotel Group. So it could be the James by Dream Hotel Group in whatever location. So that's our newest brand, Dream, upper upscale, great lifestyle hotel, tremendous amount of energy, great food and beverage. Chatwall, the luxury version of that, and Unscripted, kind of the 4-star, 3.5-star version of that. And that's kind of where we're focused now.
Yeah, now and I have to tell you that the Chatwall remains one of my favorite hotels, if not my favorite in New York. It's since it opened years ago. It really is a wonderful property. And your Dream properties in Manhattan are a heck of a lot of fun. I've been in, I've stayed in a couple, but I've also enjoyed the whatever restaurants or nightclubs and stuff that were in there as well. So,
and even the Chatwell, though it is a great luxury hotel with butler service, but the food and beverage is fun. It's not just a quiet place in the corner.
You're absolutely right.
The restaurants are packed. The mess bar is packed. Even the event space we do is unique and fun. So yeah, that's our 5-star luxury version of the lifestyle hotel.
Now, during this crisis from the beginning, how many hotels did you have to close? Did you close all of them at this?
We closed all of them except 2.
Okay.
The property in Nyack, the Time in Nyack Hotel.
Oh, and the time, yeah, okay. Yeah.
In Nyack, that one has stayed open.
Okay.
It's had enough of local business, local demand, and the Dream in Nashville has stayed open. All the other ones in Durham and Miami and in Hollywood and Northern California and Manhattan, either by law we had to close them,
right,
which was the case in Hollywood and in Mendocino, California, or we elected to close them because we were losing more money being open than we were being closed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is not a good business plan, right?
No. I think business plans went out the window with this thing. But now you just actually announced that you were reopening 6 of those properties. I think you mentioned Nashville, which was open, and then you had another 5. What were what were some of the ones that you decided to open?
Yes. So again, the Time Hotel Nyack stayed open.
Right.
So yeah, I think they announced we now have 6 hotels.
6 hotels. That's right.
Either open that are now opened, but
right.
Yeah, 2 of them had stayed. So Miami, the Dream in South Beach was reopened. The Durham Unscripted was reopened, and the property in Hollywood was reopened, and the property in Mendocino, California. So the Dream in Hollywood, and then the Heritage House, which is kind of an independent lifestyle hotel that we manage up in Mendocino.
Yeah. Now you didn't open, and you still haven't reopened the hotels in New York yet. But I think I said that release also said you were reopening some of the food and beverage outlets in those.
Right. We've already opened up a decent amount of the food and beverage at the Dream in Midtown and the Dream in Downtown. Not all of it, mainly where they're outdoor spaces. Because as you know, being a New Yorker, we can't open indoor restaurant yet. So Dream Midtown, we opened up one of the great outdoor rooftops called PhD Terrace.
Yeah, I've been there.
And we also opened up PhD, which is the great original out rooftop bar in downtown, Dream Downtown. And we also opened up what we call the beach. The beach is the pool area at Dream Downtown, sits between the 2 towers. And so we have restaurant service and then service around the pool. Very limited how many lounge chairs we're allowed to sell around the pool. But oddly enough, though the top line is down significantly because of restrictions, we just can't allow more people in. And though the bottom line is certainly down, but the percentage going to the bottom from the top is actually higher than we normally, because we have a smaller amount of hours of operation. You can't stay open to 4 a.m. anymore, so we've condensed that to 11 p.m. So we're just running a little smarter, condensing it more into a smaller window, working with the minimal amount of staffing we would need. And so actually the profit percentage has gone up, but the total revenues are still down and the total profits.
Well, I believe that you and I interviewed last time in the rooftop bar at the Dream Midtown. So
that's right.
That was cool. And I have interviewed some of your executives, including Mr. Chatwell himself in the Dream Downtown. That was a few years ago. But so I do know those hotels pretty well. Now,
and we do have Serafina opened up for outdoor dining at the Dream on 55th Street, Midtown, and also at the Time Hotel on 49th Street for outdoor dining and takeout. Serafina is open there as well.
No, that's
so we're
great.
doing what we can to create a little bit of noise and a little bit of revenue.
Any idea when the hotels themselves will be open in Manhattan?
So Dream Midtown and Dream Downtown and the Time Hotel, I can't say yet, but one of those 3, I think we will get open in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
I don't want to say yet. We still have negotiations with the union. We need to organize a few things and do the callbacks the right way. So we do hope to get at least one of them open in a couple of weeks. And then based on that and what's going on in New York, I'm not very optimistic about the demand changing after the beginning of September. And as you know, our busiest season is September through December in New York. Though I don't see, with Broadway being closed and the museums and the restaurant, indoor dining, and Madison Square Garden and all those kind of drivers that we have not look like they're coming around, certainly not on September 1st. Yeah. I don't see necessarily a great demand, but you don't know. If the rest of the country improves and at least can level off and start to drop a little bit, I hope what New York did from the beginning was right. It certainly seems more right than what we did in other places. But if it turns out that it really was a viable way and the rest of the country is able to kind of get in lockstep with that and eliminate the quarantine requirements when you come to New York, again, I'm not optimistic that we get back to anywhere near normal levels, but maybe we start seeing a little bit of demand, people coming to visit their friends or relatives or whatever, and just some demand getting back into the city, some corporate business, just some different, not big apples, not those kind of companies, but just some companies that are finding different ways and getting some people to move around. I mean, my group is already moving around. We're going on some meetings in different places, and I think some aggressive companies, may find the need to come and do some calls and come into the city. So maybe we can get those first one open and then maybe the other two. Again, the goal would be, can we stay open and lose less money than being closed? So if we can convince ourselves of that, again, we're not going to be happy at the end of the year, but better than staying closed. So it's small steps at this point.
No, well, let's hope that all comes back gradually, as you mentioned, and there's no other surges here, at least in New York. And I do think, obviously, that this quarantine that New York put in, unfortunately, with 35 states, it's going to be challenging for a lot of people to come in. So we'll have to see, what happens with that. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk with you about is you did have several development projects in the works with your brands, Dream and Chatwall. Has the COVID crisis led you to delay those projects? I believe there was even a project upstate in New York with the Chatwall. Or do they remain on schedule?
I think even in the best of times, they never remain on schedule, right? The schedules are always moving targets. But I don't think COVID really has had a big impact on the schedules. Some of the ones that haven't gotten started yet are maybe a little slower now to get their financing, and I think they're still all committed, like Memphis. They were ready to move quicker, and now I think since they hadn't started construction, I think there's a little delay there now in getting their construction loans lined up. Most of the ones that were already under progress continue to move along, and the project in Doha is moving along right on schedule, and that'll open probably a year from now. Belgium, the property we're doing there, the unscripted, looks like maybe springtime, mid-spring next year. So also on target and moving around. The Tulum project that we recently signed was something that was already well under construction. That's going to be a by Dream hotel group called Los Amigos, and that's moving fine. We were just there, our team, on a full trip, working with the owners and adding a few of the design changes that we decided to do once we came on board. So those are the project in Playa del Carmen is moving well. The project in Valle de Guadalupe is moving well. Atlanta, working on the financing there, so we haven't gotten in the ground yet. Las Vegas was just recently signed and announced. They're not up to, they're still doing the planning stages, but that's moving at the right pace. San Antonio, not in the ground yet there either, but again, all things moving forward. And even more surprisingly, besides the deals that were signed, we are continuing to sign deals at pretty much the same pace, about a deal a month, through the whole COVID time. That hasn't really skipped a beat. So developers, these are solid, strong-minded business people, and they're not going to focus. To get your financing in right now may have impact, but when they're talking about projects that are going to open 3-4 years from now, or looking at things that they were doing, I don't think these people don't have that short time frame that they're going to change their business plans because of something that very likely will be solved
at some point,
3 months from now, or 6 months from now, or a year from now. And whether it's a vaccine, or it's just when you get sick, nobody dies from it, and they've figured out how to at least get you well quickly, and it ends up being like getting the flu or whatever. So I think we will go back to that part of the normalcy where people will not have to worry about this per se. But as I said before, the new normal will become new, and I think some things will change. I don't think so much like they're going to build hotels, how to keep people distance. I think that's foolish, and that's not something we need to deal with. But I think some cities, particularly our city of New York, I think could be affected for many years, and not just from COVID, but I think some of the underlying problems that were there already will just be magnified, and younger people that were coming to work at tech companies that were paying high rents in unique markets, these companies just may realize they don't need those people to be in that part of the city, and they could be in other places like Nashville or Austin, or they could be in Hoboken and work out of different areas and not have to be in downtown Manhattan or in. So I think the city will go through some changes, as it always has, as you know, from the 70s to the 80s to the 90s. So I think we are on a bit of a change in New York, but I'm always bullish on the city. I know it'll be back, and the artists will have a chance to move back in, and then the other hipsters will want to be in. And but maybe it takes 3 to 5 years. I don't think it's 3 to 5 months.
Now,
but there still will be demand once Broadway's there. I mean, those things. I think it's not that the city's going away, but I don't think it's going to be on this super straight up type of trajectory coming out of COVID. And I think it's more than the COVID. I think there's other reasons.
No, and
it may affect some other cities like San Francisco, I think, in a similar manner.
Yeah, no, absolutely, those cities. And you already answered my question. I was going to ask you about what you thought how the New York hotel market would deal with this. And I think we talked about earlier, you mentioned there are some properties, unfortunately, that have had to close permanently, maybe, because of this crisis. There was an extraordinary amount of development, especially in that boutique lifestyle area that has happened in the last few years. You've been at the forefront of that, but everybody else has sort of jumped in, and maybe some of them, not all of them, will survive, I would think.
Right. And I think that's a natural type of correction and survival, and that gets the market to be right. The market will always tell you what something's worth. You can say what, you want it to be this average rate and run this occupancy, but eventually the market will tell you what something is worth. And I think if we lose 10, 15, 20% of the inventory in New York, that will tighten the marketplace. People will start to, come back in. Rates will go up. There's not enough hotels, and then they'll build them, and then
and then it just the whole cycle repeats, I guess, right?
But I do think we'll go through a little bit of that reduction in rooms in the city, which will be healthy to those that can survive it.
Yeah. Now, as for Dream Hotel Group, a lot of hotel companies now are introducing sort of new health and safety protocols, aimed at making staff and customers more confident about being in those properties. Is Dream looking at that, or are you on the verge of putting those in? Obviously, you don't have a lot of properties open yet.
Yeah, well, we've put that together. That was part of the announcement. We've signed on with the Stay Safe program for the American Hotel Lodging Association, and we've also used a lot of other World Health and other guidelines to come up with what we thought was the right measures. And we always went to the minimum and then added on top of that what we thought was logically safe or would give more comfort. So we're actually requiring face coverings for guests to come and enter our hotel. while you're moving through the property. It's not required in some of our markets, but in our hotels, we're making it a requirement. And all the other ones that you would expect, additional cleaning at more frequent times in public areas, taking temperatures, again, not required in a number of markets, but we're doing it for all our employees at work and all vendors and anyone that comes, not to the guests, but to any other person that comes into the building is required to take a health screening and have the temperature checked every day for the employees. So yeah, we've done a lot. I think my gut tells me that some of it that cost us a lot of money, we'll find out is not necessary. Some of the, I think you're hearing more and more that you don't get it by touching surfaces. It's not definite, but it seems, the experts feel you really get it from, vapor from your mouth and going into someone's eyes and that type of thing. But, we're still being extra cautious now, and we will keep those measures in place until they say it's really not doing anything. And then we'll change. The information is available on every property's individual website. There's a whole page to be able to go to. It talks not only about the hotel, but also the market that you're coming to and what should be expected and the requirements, to try to make it easy for any traveling guest. Also about our food and beverage, which venues are open, indoor, outdoor, what requirements you have. You have to wear a mask till you're at the table. You don't have to wear it at the table, but when you go to the restroom or leaving, you do need to wear the mask again. So all those protocols are in place.
No, that's great. And as you open up more properties, obviously you can apply those standards to those as well. Now, we talked a little bit about... And
one last thing on that, if I can, James, sorry. Our hotels are really known for our food and beverage and for our nightlifes. And so we're not in the process of opening up, a 300-person nightclub on the roof with people dancing on top of each other and loud music and yelling. And, that's just not appropriate now and not allowed in most of the markets anyway. So we've converted those, where we have outdoor spaces into just lounge seating. So people that come together in one group, they would be distanced from the next group. They'll be outside. So we're still taking places like PhD, which are known for great nightclubs, but now they're really turned into outdoor, beautiful lounge settings, so that people still can come to these great venues, have these great views, but be in a safe environment. Food is served as well as cocktails. So it's still fun. You can still feel like you got out, you're with your group or your family or whatever you came with, and still get a great lifestyle experience.
No, that's great, and obviously you do have some really fun spaces. Although that wild party with 300 people sounds really good right now, I got to tell you. But obviously that's not going to happen for a while. Now, you mentioned a little bit about how the coronavirus crisis has sort of changed the industry overall. Do you think hotels and resorts, customers will seek out different things in the future in terms of their accommodations and their experience? Has the crisis changed that, or is this just something?
I think in the near term, of course. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want to go to a hotel that I wasn't comfortable, was doing everything possible. And a lot of the things that I just mentioned, I would hope that would be, I wouldn't hope, I would make sure that's the way their protocols are being worked. So I think in the near term and how long that goes for, and how long does that go for from a hangover effect,
right?
I think is a finite period of time. I don't think it's infinite period of time. So whether it's 6 months or a year, so I think that is important. I think after that, I do think things will change, but not because of the COVID situation anymore, but because I think that's where things were going anyway. I mean, our industry was always at least known for, or I think most of our discerning guests cared about being in a very clean environment. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you go travel and you're going to a 2-star hotel because that's all that's there, your biggest fear is, are there going to be bugs? Is the bathroom going to be clean? Is the sheets going to be? So that was always, I think, top of mind. And I think that people were always demanding of that. And will continue to be. And so I don't think it's really because of COVID, but I think also, health and wellness aspects, as you reported on it, was all on the forefront before COVID hit. about what was happening in our industry and things that we were seeing. So I think you'll only continue to see even more of that, and people care about health and care about wellness. I think things like shaking hands, does that ever come back? Maybe it doesn't, so those are, some of the kind of cultural changes that you may see. But I certainly think
it'll be more like live long and prosper now. I think that'll be the end.
We're humans, we want to be next to each other. People are going to want to hug once they know it's safe to do so. But again, your real question about what it changes to our industry, I don't think you're going to see hotels being built with a room in the middle that's not occupied. I don't think they're going to build meeting spaces that are designed to keep everybody 6 feet apart for the next 20 years. I think that's all a little foolish, and people are going to laugh at it when they look back 3 or 4 years from now going, what were they thinking?
Yeah, no, well, I mean, the industry was going small, boutique, local, lifestyle, which are some of the areas that you're already in and have been in and been a pioneer in. So I think even the large chains were even creating sort of boutique properties and ones that were really trying to reflect the local area to varying degrees of success. So I don't think that's going to change either, from my view. I don't know.
But I do think on the big box hotels, the convention hotels, and right. Even though we say that's not where the world is moving, but look, we all go to conventions.
Yeah.
Whether it's Comic-Con or music conventions or tech conventions, almost not everybody, but lots of the world and lots of industry people go to conventions, and they're a big part of business in themselves, and that they're trying to figure out the Gaylords and those types of, how do we do this? How do we bring it back? And I think that there will be things that affect those kinds of hotels that do good meetings that will last well after COVID, because they probably, like I said, even just the regular common cold and the flu,
yeah.
You want to be doing things to avoid that. And maybe in the past, we never thought of wearing a mask in America, though you would see it in Asia and other places. And we never thought about not shaking hands when you had a cold so much. But I think some of those things are during the flu season, during, conventions during flu season, maybe they will change, how protocols are done and how the buffets are done and how, touch points are done and where sanitary wipes are available. And so I think that those are long-term changes, and they should be involved in the design of how do we do things safer, whether it's a pandemic or whether it's just a common flu or colds, and of how to keep people safe when they're traveling and keep them healthy.
No, that's logical, and I think you're right. Now, what about, every year I go to, let's say, International Luxury Travel Market in Cannes, or I go to other hotel shows, and all you hear about is this hotel's opening here, this hotel's, like in your development company, you are opening up hotels all over the place. Do you think the pace of development and the massive growth of the hotel market is going to continue, or is this just going to be a blip for a few years and then we'll, see it continue, or will we see more consolidation and really fewer hotels being built?
Well, I think, when you say consolidation, I think more like, is there going to be brand consolidation? So they may not, they may consolidate and they may buy me and they may buy, other brands, and they all become Marriott. Doesn't mean they'll slow down the building. But I think consolidation in terms of the industry not needing as many because people aren't traveling. And again, it goes back, I think the market takes care of all that.
Right.
If there's a glut of rooms out there, no one's going to build. No one's going to build a hotel in a market that's running 45% occupancy.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't have restraints on you, whether it's unions or other requirements that keep you to need a much higher occupancy to break even, maybe you could run at 45% and still make money. But, the lower you go, it becomes very difficult, and very few hotels are based on running a 45% occupancy. So I think the industry and the markets themselves will take care of that. And you'll see a slowdown in those markets. And the markets that are running, high demand, you'll see, people figure out, hey, if I can make money there, I'm going to build a hotel. And, that's the problem with New York. You were always able to drive occupancy, even when at the worst times we were running 90%, 85, which is still 20 points higher than the industry average in the U.S. But it didn't mean that we were able to drive more rate. As you know, the rate's been stagnant in New York for almost 10 years, and the only reason it has been is because we've added 50,000 more hotel rooms.
Sure.
It went from 60,000 to 110,000 in an 8-year, 10-year period of time, and the occupancy stayed at 88%.
Yeah.
So you're saying, so nothing's wrong. We needed all those rooms. Nothing's wrong, but the rate didn't move. So, if we didn't add those rooms, or we only had a half, the rates would have moved, much higher, and we had a much better return. So yeah, I think, like I said, the markets will take care of that. Where there is demand, there'll be plenty more hotels built. And remember, we always talk about the ones that are being built. We don't talk about the ones that are closing down. We don't talk about the ones that are coming out and becoming offices or condos or whatever. And also a lot of those that are not kept up just start running at very low occupancy, and they're not really a factor for hotels like ours, or for guests that stay at hotels like ours. They wouldn't consider staying at that old whatever, Sheraton or Hilton or whatever brand, that hasn't been renovated, and they got kicked out of the system, and now they're just called the so-and-so, but they're still open, they're still in the mix there. But the kind of travel that we're marketing to is not going to consider that. So even though it's there and it's taking away some occupancy, it's not really affecting my business.
No, and indeed, for a while, every brand in internationally seemed to want to have or need a property in New York. And every time I talk to a hotelier abroad, I say, well, we need a property in New York, almost as a statement, the marketing, and they do. Now, the problem is many of them come in and they don't last very long. We've seen a number of brands that that came in, they had the property in New York, and then they didn't last they just couldn't keep it up. But I continue to see people saying, well, we don't have a property in New York, we need one. And that keeps driving the market too, in addition to all the other companies that come in with new ideas and boutiques.
And I think the only reason those really failed was because they couldn't get the rate. And they couldn't get the rate because of what I spoke about earlier.
Right.
And it seemed logical that, again, if you had 88% and the occupancy was not getting affected, and the demand in New York was going from 50 million visitors to 55 to 60 to 65 million, and a quarter of that is international demand, and all those numbers keep going up and up, it would seem logical to a developer that I could open up a great brand from wherever, build it in a high-end place, and get the good rate for it. And it was based on getting a 450 ADR. And the most they were able to get was 325.
Right.
325 is, a nice rate. But it didn't make sense for how much they paid for the land to build the building. The labor, and the union labor, whatever it may be, it's expensive. And so it just wasn't factored in that what if that 450 becomes 325, can we live?
Sure.
And they probably did the factoring and said, well, we won't be at 325. There's enough demand that should get us here. And all the factors show that, yes, it could, but then it doesn't, because so many more hotels are opening, and there's still people to fill them, but there's not enough extra. And then, you add Airbnb on top of it and whatever other things. It's just really kept the rate from so that's really, I don't think those hotels had a bad plan. I don't think they were bad brands. I don't think they were managed poorly per se. I just think they didn't realize that their 450 may be 325, and then we're crying.
Yeah, great. No, that's a great explanation of that situation. Now, Jay, is there anything else you want to get out to we go out to about 100,000 travel advisors and travel professionals and executives out there. Anything else you want to say about your company, Dream Hotel Group, and in the future?
Well, look, we love the people that you market to. They're our bread and butter. We've always been on the forefront of taking care of them. We've done higher rate commissions when other big brands were lowering their commissions. They cut them down to 8, and we raised ours to 12. We thought that was a way to really support. And
I remember that.
It's a big part of our business. We still do things like that. As you know, we've got a promotion out now offering 20% for all new bookings coming in, a 20% discount off the bar rates. And if there's anything that we can do, if we're very flexible right now, we're even looking and trying to get creative, looking at, a lot of the dorms for schools, they don't have enough dorm rooms because they can't have two people in a room. And so we've looked at some opportunities to try and sell some of our rooms that way, and just to help, build some of the occupancy. So we're looking at alternative means and trying to be aggressive, but certainly if there are opportunities, long-term stays that some of your people may have needs for their guests, we would be as accommodating as possible. It's a tough market. So if you need something and you want to talk to us, you can reach out to me, you can reach out to our teams, but we'll try to be as accommodating as we always are.
Great. Well, Jay, thank you for taking the time to tell us about Dream and also just the market in general. It's been a fascinating discussion to talk to you about the hotel situation right now and what it's going to be going forward. I wish you all the best of luck opening up all the other Dream hotels. They're some of my favorite brands, certainly in New York, that I've experienced, and elsewhere in the country and the world now. Hopefully in a year from now, we'll start to see some movement and we'll be back to whatever the normal is or the new normal is. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you, James. I really appreciate the time.
I'm James Shillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.